Joe Rogan and Alex Pereira predict Islam Makhachev vs. Volkanovski. Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski's pound-for-pound title match is coming up, and it has the UFC world shook. Recently, Joe Rogan managed to get Alex Pereira on his podcast, and their predictions for Makhachev vs. Volkanovski are actually super interesting. This podcast is one of the best I've seen, and it shows a whole new side of Alex Pereira. It's obvious that Alex Pereira is a fan of Islam Makhachev, and Joe Rogan's reaction to the shade thrown at Volkanovski is hilarious. Islam Makhachev and Volkanovski are scheduled to step into the octagon on February 11th, and it sure will be an interesting start to the year for the UFC. This match has been long awaited, and these guys have been training as hard as they can and preparing to battle it out for the pound-for-pound title. Speaking of title belts, Alex Pereira has been enjoying his title belt and walking with pride. Alex Pereira has been a huge name in the UFC industry lately, and luckily for us, he was recently on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Pereira and Joe Rogan talk a lot about Alex Pereira's future in the UFC, and also about his background. But one of the most interesting parts to me is when the topic of Islam Makhachev vs. Volkanovski gets brought up. Alex Pereira's rival is obviously the legendary Israel Adesanya, which is on the same team as Alexander Volkanovski. So straight off the bat, Alex Pereira is throwing shade at Volk. It's actually super interesting to see, and Joe Rogan's reactions are priceless. I must say, Joe Rogan has some pretty interesting questions for Alex Pereira, and you'll be shocked to hear everything he said about Makhachev vs. Volkanovski. There's obviously a lot to get into today, but we'll mainly be focusing on Alex Pereira and Joe Rogan speaking on Islam Makhachev vs. Alexander Volkanovski. Be sure to stick around and watch this video until the end, as we get into things one detail at a time. Trust me when I say you won't want to miss a thing. Thanks for stopping by today and visiting us at Warrior Report. We post daily UFC updates and news that you really should know about if you're a fan. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more content like this, leave a like, and comment keyword MMA to enter a chance at winning our brand new iPhone giveaway. One lucky viewer is picked at the end of each month. Now, let's jump into this video and take a closer look at Joe Rogan and Alex Pereira predict Islam Makhachev vs. Volkanovski. This UFC match has been long awaited and will most definitely be one of the most interesting we've received in a long time. Islam Makhachev has obviously proved his dominance in the UFC during his last match against the legendary Charles Oliveira. But Islam Makhachev has called out the top dog, the pound-for-pound champion of the UFC, Alexander Volkanovski. This is obviously no joke, and each of these guys know what they're about to go up against. Both Makhachev and Volkanovski are complete savages and different level martial artists. All I know is the pound-for-pound title belt is on the line, and at the end of the night on February 11th, 2023, only one man's going to be leaving the arena with it. Alexander Volkanovski has defended his title time and time again, but never against a competitor as scary as Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev and his coach Khabib Nurmagomedov are on the hunt for that title belt, and will give everything they got to get it. So far, it looks like their plan is on track, and all they've got to do is defeat Volkanovski on the night of February 11th. But that is no easy achievement. Alexander Volkanovski is one of the most well-rounded athletes that the UFC has ever seen, and he has plans of defending his pound-for-pound title once again. It'll be interesting to see how this whole match plays out once these guys step foot into the octagon. According to Alex Pereira, the match is in favor of Islam Makhachev, but Joe Rogan thinks a little differently. Joe Rogan knows by all means that Islam Makhachev is a complete savage, but he gives the respect to Volk that Volk has earned. It's going to be a tough match for both opponents, and I'm excited to see what happens. Joe Rogan and Alex Pereira get deeper into detail about why Alex thinks Islam Makhachev is going to win, but you can tell that his opinion is kinda biased. We all know Alex Pereira doesn't mess with Izzy Adesanya, which is training with Volkanovski. That seems like the main reason Alex Pereira is going for Islam Makhachev. But I respect his opinion, and I think both Islam and Volk are insane martial artists. This match will most definitely be a nail-biter, and I'm looking forward to watching it. Volkanovski has been put in this position time and time again, and it seems like he's pretty confident in defending his title. But Islam Makhachev is obviously a different breed. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it all plays out. For more content like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We post daily UFC updates and news that you really should know about if you're a fan.